stage. Steel beasts roll a distant wage. Truckers' voices crying through the night. Tales of speed and endless fights. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels in endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways call our name. In this life, we find our fame. Neon lights and diner blues. Truck stops where we share the news. Turning wheels and endless miles. Stories fill the smoky aisles. Miles and miles, all our strength we give. Hauling dreams, we fight to live. Lonely highways.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Truckers Voices podcast. It's Thursday evening, and we're back with you live. It's your co-host, Steve. Tim's on the other line trying to get some technical difficulties straightened out. So, got a great guest coming on for us tonight. Excuse my voice. Allergies are getting to me. I don't know why, but, good old allergy season. You got to love it. But hope everybody had a good day out there in trucking land. And I know I did. Traffic was starting to get a little heavy with the upcoming holiday, but everything seemed to be working out pretty good. The construction zone's all moving pretty good, and dealing with a little rain off and on. You know how it is. And I just want to start out with saying, God bless all them people that has endured the tornadoes and flooding and everything that's been going on the last week and a half or so. Man, my heart goes out to them. And if you know anybody, give them a call, give them a hand, and see if we can get some help and everything. But we got, like I said, we got a good show coming up for us tonight. As soon as we get a little bit of technical difficulties worked out there, and Tim, you with us there?
Yeah, I think our guest is fixing to get logged in there in just a minute, so hopefully we got that all straightened out. I hope everybody's doing good tonight. I'm so glad that you come on Trucker's Voice tonight, and you had the opportunity to hear from that guy first over there.
Yeah, that's the right way. That's the right way. Yeah, now he's back with us. I don't know. I can't get this straight.
Steve, you sound like you've been sucking on some pollen somewhere, man.
Oh, big time, buddy. Big time. It's I don't know if the rain's helping it or making it worse. I think it's making it worse, I don't know. It's well, hey, story of my life,
I got you. Well, let's go ahead and let's get this stuff right here out of the way. The views expressed on the show are those of the host and guest only and do not reflect those of others. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
Hey, if everybody's listening to us tonight, we got our guest coming on, Scott Osbourne. He's going to come on and he's going to tell us about his story, about how he got into trucking and all that. But we also are dedicating this show to our good friend and fellow driver, Matt Awbrew. Matt passed away at the Georgia TDC back on May 8th. And we just want to dedicate this show to him and to his family. And Matt was a great driver, 2014 NTDC truck driving champion. I can't remember what class he was in, But Matt was a great guy, great friend. And man, if you ever met Matt, from that time on, you was his friend. And, I just want to dedicate this episode of Truckers Voices to Matt tonight. And y'all stick around to the end because we got a special tribute for Matt.
Yes. I met Matt a couple times down at Safety Drive, and great individual, awesome guy. Talked to me a little bit about approaching different problems and stuff, and give me something to work on. And but there again, personally, I did not know the man that well, but my heart goes out to his family and all of his friends and everything. But yeah, it's you guys are gonna like the tribute. Please stick around.
Yeah, I see Scott down there. I'm texting him, let him know that Scott can hear us. So, Scott, we'll bring you on in here in just a little bit after we get through with the monologue and everything else like that. But yes, sir. I'm telling you what, man, that was at the Georgia TDC, man. That was a shocker to everybody. Man, Matt did his pre-trip and everything, and he was excited. He was ready. He was ready to compete. He was ready to win that thing. And that's why we got to live our best lives day by day, because we never know when it's our time to go home.
No, we don't. And I always say I try to be a better person tomorrow than I was today. Because, well, I mean, if I get a chance to be a better person tomorrow, I'm gonna do it. But you never know. You really never know. I mean, it's you hear people all the time say, tell them loved ones you love them, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
That's right. But, well,
Well,
we got some new merch, and right here, over here, I can't get my camera angle straight. Right there, we got some new merch. It's a I Love TV, which stands for Truckers Voices, and underneath that it says I Love Truckers Voices. So if you want to get one of those T-shirts, y'all just email me your size and what color you want. We got a like a grayish, dark gray one. We got a light gray one, and then we got the blue one right there. And we'll get it to you. Only $20 each, and they go to support the show, and that's what keeps us running out here. We don't even. We're not making any money on the show. We just want to get the message of, positive stories out there and stuff like that. So, that's what that's all about. And, we pay a subscription price for the stuff that we use yearly. So that's how we try to make a little money on it there. But other than that, hey, we just enjoy and we love what we're doing here at Truckers Voices there. But
yes, sir.
Steve, so you had a good day of trucking today. I had a decent day of trucking. I'm telling you what, I can tell that highway traffic is starting to pick up, man. It took me probably about 30-40 minutes to go 5 miles to get out of Atlanta, man. People are starting to travel. People are out there. School's out. They're getting their holiday weekend started early. And I'm telling you, I can see the volume of traffic picking up. So, don't look like the tariffs is holding that up, is it?
Yeah, it's like I said, it was a good day of trucking, even though I run in and out of rain and didn't hit any bad storms. But traffic's definitely starting to get heavier. Couple construction zones I'm concerned with, but they seem to be rolling pretty good today. So, just everybody slow down, be safe. Man, you'll get there when you get there. You don't have to be the first one there. Just relax.
That's right. So earlier this year at the Safety Drive for Cure, you had the pleasure of meeting Matt, and tell me a little bit about your interaction that you had with Matt there.
Just hey man, how you doing? Asked me who I drove for, where I was from, and just had a nice general conversation. Talked about nationals. I've only been there once. That was 2014. But those of you that don't know, I will be going back this year. Won my class last weekend in Ohio. And just a nice little 10-15 minute conversation with him. And just a super down-to-earth guy. And like I said, I didn't know the man personally, other than just see him, hey, how you doing, and have a little conversation, and but just full of life, and he was one of them type individuals. When I walked away, I walked away, like you said, with a friend, and you walked away with little different perspective. If you was kind of feeling down, you wasn't feeling down when you got to talking to Matt. He was a good guy. He was always upbeat,
Yep, he
But
sure was.
and that's the way I try to be. So but I'm kind of looking forward to what you put together there.
Okay. All right. Well, I will tell the listening audience that about somewhere around quarter till the top of the hour, we're going to break in. Herschel Evans is supposed to come in. He's going to talk with us a little bit at the end of the show about Matt and his life, because he knew Matt very well, and we may even have Emily Crane. She said she may call in. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on with our guest here, and let's bring Scott Osbourne in here on the champion song. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
All right, everybody. Scott Osbourne, everybody. Scott, you are a champion in your own right, brother. So it's glad to have you. We're glad to have you on Truckers Voices tonight, and it is an honor and a privilege. You are a friend from a long time ago, brother.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting back to it. See what I can do.
Hey, that's all we can do.
Hey, exactly. I've learned a lot over the years, so we'll see if I can put it to good use.
I've learned a lot in a short period. So,
Steve, you may need to call Scott up. He's down there with a bunch of boys. They do good every year at the TDC, and you might need to get some pointers there, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we'll see what we can do over in Indianapolis about getting some pointers.
With likes of Jackie Reed and Randy Bird, and Scott himself. I mean, come on, that is the trio right there.
we have a good group of guys. I cannot lie on that. And I say we because it wasn't just me.
I hear you, Scott. I hear you.
Well, like we always say, we got our family, and then we got our TDC family.
That's right.
Then we're just, that's one thing that anybody can testify to, that when it comes to your TDC family, maybe you're not up here on the podium, but if your family is, buddy, you're cheering them on.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with you there.
Exactly.
Well, Scott, we want to get into it, man. I know a little bit about you, but I want you to introduce yourself to the listening audience. We're going to give you the floor. We want you to tell us who you are, where you're from, how you got started in the trucking industry, and some of your latest accomplishments and stuff like that. And we'll jump in there and ask some questions after a while, but we're going to listen to you for now, if that's all right with you.
Okay, but I ain't much on talking about myself, so.
Come on, man. Come on.
I like bragging on everybody else except for myself, so.
Yeah, nobody likes to talk about themselves, but after they get to talking about it, they're like, I'd like to meet that guy.
Exactly.
Oh,
well,
go ahead.
Just to kind of lead it off, I was actually born and raised Kentucky, 30 miles south of Cincinnati, a little town called Butler, Kentucky. My dad used to work for Consolidated Freight up in Cincinnati. Well, he had an opportunity to transfer, so he transferred to Mississippi. So, I've been here since then, just to kind of give you a little bit, I blew my knee out playing football at high school. Well, once I got that fixed, me and him were on the ins and outs because I was a teenager. So I did argue a lot. So,
sure.
Yeah. So I left home at the age of 17. Not by my mother and father. It's just by me and him arguing a lot because my dad was, a former Marine. He was a helicopter gunny out of Vietnam. So, and he was also my scout leader back in the younger years. and I'm also an Eagle Scout. So,
Awesome. Awesome.
and so to take it a little further, uh, you know, I was married by the time I was 18. Uh, my first son was born by the time I was 21. So he told me, he said, son, if you're going to learn a career that you're able to take care of your family with, then I want to teach you how to truck. And I said, yes, sir. So he took me to the Consolidated Freight Yard and taught me how to drive a truck. And so from there, my career started as a truck driver. From there, uh, it was over a few years. You know, my dad did not like my direction that I was going
Right.
because I was headed down a path that was not going to last long. And this is hard to tell, you know. So, but I was headed down a path because I was becoming the driver that most don't like to be.
Right.
And that has to do with the, you know, unmentionables.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
So he finally come to me and he said, son, he said, if you keep going down this path, I'm going to lose you. He said, let me teach you about freight. So at that point, you know, I went on as a casual at Consolidated Freight and started working with him. Well, not with him, but as a casual on the dock. And
Right.
then I began to learn. So at that point, uh, you know, by that time, Consolidated done closed. So I went to Roadway and Yellow Freight. You know, I was working for both of them at the time as a casual. You know, learning the ins and outs, and it's hard as a casual.
Yeah.
You know, my wife now, she can tell you. She said she never knew when I was going to be home or when I wasn't going to be home. But you know, I've hauled a lot of things over the years. You know, and there's nothing, pretty much nothing out of these 32 years that I haven't drove over the road except for a tanker and a log truck.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely covers the spectrum of most of it right there for sure. And so you say that you've hauled a lot of different stuff over the years, Scott. So tell me, what's one of the most interesting things that you've hauled?
Well, there's two things there. You know, I used to haul a lot of heavy equipment, uh, and I used to know a guy that owned a lowboy, and I'd borrow it from time to time. You know, I had the tractor, but I'd borrow his lowboy, and one of the things was an oversized excavator that a customer wanted. Well, I went to take it to him and I went direction by direction. Well, I went down this dirt road and all of a sudden I ran up on a wood bridge.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Yes, sir. And I want y'all to know I had to back up 7 miles to get
Gee,
back out of it
jeez.
That's a
because
lot.
I was not going across that wood bridge with something that weighs 90,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
right, that right there is a lot of practicing backing up for sure. So you got your practicing on backing up there.
I did.
Yeah.
But I guess the most interesting thing would be it was a dump truck tire that like the coal mines and stuff use, but
Right.
that one tire weighed 40,000 pounds.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yes, sir.
That is crazy.
Wow.
Well, from then, and so tell me again, real quick, like what age did you start getting into trucking as far as you driving?
Well, if you want to go back a few years, you know, I started trucking in 18, but that was, you know, hauling hay and everything else, just learning about it, you know, and that was just local.
I got you. I got you.
But
So working with your dad at Consolidated Freight and all got you introduced into the freight end of it. and then like you said, you've driven a lot of stuff over the years and hauled a lot of different stuff. But what's some of the other companies that you've worked for as far as that goes, other than the one that you're currently working for?
Oh gosh. I've worked for, let's see, Roadway, ABF, TNT Dugan, R&L, Central Freight Lines,
Yeah.
Back when Central was still around.
Right. Right.
I mean, I applied for, a certain company, which American Freightways,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're no longer around, but I didn't meet their criteria back then.
I got you. I got you. Yeah. That's who I actually hired on with American Freightways back in '95. Yeah, it's really changed over the years, and everybody knows the American got bought out by FedEx and all, and then of course right now FedEx is going through some changes, and so that's an interesting thing, and I said that to say this, that we all know, all three of us sitting here and everybody that's listening to us, the freight business is an ever evolving business, and a lot of changes that happen over the year, and if you're that type of person that doesn't embrace change, you'll get left behind in this business. So you got to embrace change, and so Scott, some of the changes that you've seen over the years, do you see those changes for the trucking industry as a whole as good for the industry?
I do. And I just want to add to that, a lot of my disappointments were in myself at a younger age. And when I disappointed myself, I tried to do better. And that's the reason it's got me where I am today.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give Steve a chance to jump in here.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Scott, have you always been a company driver, or did you buy your own truck?
No, I had my own at one time.
You had your own truck.
Yes, sir.
Did your dad look at you and say, "What are you thinking, son? What are you thinking?"
Well,
I
he
thought
didn't
about
quite,
it, but
he,
oh,
Yeah, we lost his camera just then, so I don't know if we lost if his feed went off or not there. But we'll see what's going on here in just a second. He's still on there, but we lost his camera.
right.
But Steve, speaking of that, man, you talk about owning your own truck. You've been in that predicament before, so tell us a little bit about being an owner operator.
Well, I never owned my own truck, but I drove for a couple owner operators, and the last one I drove for was my in laws, and man, it really worked out good. He taught me a lot in 5 years. My boss man / father in law taught me a lot about trucks, and he kept trying to tell me to put my name on it, and I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it.
Scott, did you have to go pay the light bill?
something happened.
Yeah, you went dark on us, brother. Like, he don't want to answer that question for sure.
No, yeah, give me just a second, and because I don't know why FedEx is trying to call me.
Maybe
Okay.
maybe they want him to go to work tonight.
Yeah. They might be wanting him to go to work tonight for sure. They're right.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we don't need you on that podcast. We need you out there moving freight. Freight does seem to be picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you're right. I come to work for AF in July '96, and I ain't looked back since. And my dad told me that in the freight business, it changes about every 3 to 5 years. Now it might be a little more often, but like you said, Tim, you gotta change. If you don't go with the flow,
Yep.
you're gonna be floating downstream by yourself.
That's right. That's right. Everything else, Scott?
Yes. Now ask me that question one more time.
Well,
Well, I asked if you had ever been an owner operator, if you was always a company driver, and you said yes, you bought your own truck. Kind of elaborate on that a little bit. How'd that come about and all that stuff? If you can.
It started out as a old driving academy truck. which was a cab over.
Right.
And then I eventually found one, was my style, which was, like I've done, when I said I haven't ever pulled a tank or anything like that, but I used to do a lot of, you know, so
Right.
so it had to show up as something like they'd want.
Right.
That's the direction I went.
Right. Exactly. Have you run all 48 states then, or did you stay kind of, maybe south of I-40 or something like that? Or
I ran everything except for California. I refused to go to California.
I understand. I understand. First time I went to LA, and I come out of LA in the middle of rush hour traffic. It took me about 2 hours to go 28 miles to get back out to the truck stop. I said, what in the world am I into here? Like 10 lanes of traffic going both directions and nobody's moving. It's like, oh, this is crazy. This is crazy.
I always told them I wasn't ever going to California, and I ain't never been. Don't care.
I hear you. I hear you.
Hey, Scott, Bobby Lane said your phone went out a while ago because you ran out of quarters to put in it. I was just reading through some of the comments on there. So anyway, that's awesome. That's awesome. So Scott, tell us a little bit about and we're in TDC season full blown right now, and so tell us about some of your victories and stuff that you've had over the years with the TDC.
Well, that's kind of interesting that you asked that, because back in 2016, that was my first year. That was my first year to compete, and I was kind of tricked into it because my manager, he told me, he said, come into my office. He said, I need you to help me with something. He sat me down at the computer, and I'm sitting there filling out this stuff, and I said, what am I doing? He said, you're filling out for TDC. And I said, a what? He said, truck driving championship in the state of Mississippi. And I said, I don't know nothing about it. He said, that's okay. They'll teach you.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So at that point, I had 3 different drivers in my ear, about, you got to do this, you got to do this, got to do this. And well, I went and competed that year, my first year, and I took third.
Nice. Did you take a rookie? Did you get rookie that year?
No, sir.
No.
Guy that took second in 5-axle got it.
Well, congratulations to him and you for your first year going third. My first year, I didn't know anything, and I think I was like 17th, something like that, or like 25 or something in the class. I don't know. It's twin trailers, Like, hey, I drive them every day. I can do this. And then you get out there, you're like, what am I doing? What am I doing? So,
well, there's a lot more that competes in Ohio than it does in Mississippi.
yeah, we had, I think we had about 211, 212 competitors this past weekend.
That's what.
Hey, guess how much Florida's got signed up right now? 341 in Florida signed up right now.
Ooh, oh wow, good for them.
Yeah. So they're looking for volunteers.
But I learned, who my mentor was, and yes, definitely Randy Bird.
Yes,
he's been my mentor for all these years, and me and him were able to go, and I played first in 17, first in 18, and first in 19.
Right. And Randy, with the company that we all work for, I've had the pleasure of doing a meet and turn with him, and I've actually had the pleasure of meet and turn with you also. And Randy, man, he is just so surprising to me. He is just a natural behind the wheel of that truck, and I mean, he is consistent year after year after year as far as winning his state in the twins class. I mean, he is a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
I
And
need
the
to.
bad part about it, the way he taught me, height. So, he taught me to set the same. So
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Well, now you didn't win your class this year, did you, Scott?
I did not. I
You did
come in second place.
second place. I got you. I got you. But how many times have you won the state of Mississippi?
Uh, 3 times.
3 times. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. And
In the state,
say again, Scott.
I've won grand champion in the state of Mississippi twice.
Twice.
Nice.
That's impressive, man. That is definitely impressive. What's impressive to me is the cohesiveness of your team there, and for somebody like Jackie Reed to drive, as far as he drives to go practice with y'all, that is shows commitment and dedication. And I take my hat off to that, because I mean, some people don't even want to show up to practice sometimes, and it's just a mile down the road or whatever, or that is commitment to what y'all do in the profession that we have. And and of course, everything above all that is, it's all for safety, and because it does make us better drivers when we compete in the TDCs. And so when it comes down to everything, it comes down to safety. So my hat's off to y'all. So working where you work at now, and I know that everybody knows that Steve and I are road team captains for the association, for the company, and for the state. And you're a road team captain for your company there also. So tell us about that process and how that come about, Scott.
That was kind of funny the way that.
I'm laughing. I ain't heard the story yet.
It just how he says, well, that's kind of funny.
The way Nationals went 19, I was able to play second up there. But my boss pulled me to the side up there at the time, and he said, I got one more thing for you. And I said, what is it? And he said, when you get back, he said, I need you to apply for road team. And I said, ain't gonna do no good. I said, heck, I'm probably the biggest redneck in Mississippi, and they don't want it. He said, oh, I need to do it. I need you to do it. So I did. I appeased him, and went to the selection, and went over for the interview, and was nervous as all. And next thing I know, I get a phone call. Well, you're in. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So, and the bad part about it, the week before the orientation, I got thrown off a horse and my foot got trapped. So my ankle got messed up. So I still went to it. By the time the end of it come, I was like, y'all need to let me put tennis shoes on, because I don't know if I'm going to make it.
Yeah. Right. I think I remember that. Was I there mentoring when you went through, or was I not?
You were mentoring, but I know Crowder had me. But
oh boy,
both of you. I'm like, now how do I do this?
Yeah. Well, they couldn't have picked a finer person. You definitely meet all the qualifications, and you're definitely representative of the industry overall. And it's I think that it's a good thing. With your story and everything, and I remember your story a little bit, but yeah, you're definitely a professional in your own sense, as far as safety and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about and I know I'm going back in what we talked about earlier, but tell us a little bit about being an Eagle Scout there.
Oh boy.
I'm making you dig back there a little bit.
Yeah, you did. That was really kind of the best time toward my life because I had my dad with me, and he's no longer with me. I lost him back in 18, but he's the one that pushed me, and he
Mhm.
kept. But as far as becoming an Eagle, I done everything the scouts at that time required, and it was awesome. And then we had the big dinner where they present your eagle to you, and you were supposed to pick somebody that wanted to be with you. And I meant as far as occupation. Well, my occupation at that time was a Marine Corps helicopter. Being with the Marine Corps.
Right.
Well, that didn't happen after I tore my knee up so bad.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Scott, there is a charity that you've been involved in the past, and I know that you actually went over and helped with it one time. Are you still involved with that charity that you helped with at that time?
I do.
You do. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Which one?
Well, I think I remember one. You helped maybe a children's hospital over in that area.
Do. We do. We try to do. We had the Trucking for Kids competition set up, and during COVID, that kind of shot it down. And then it's kind of hard to start, getting it back up. But I'm still working on it. You know, and it was a good competition back then. And I have a lot of drivers that they text me and say, "Hey, are we going to try to do it this year?" And unfortunately, not. I'm still working with the hospital trying to get them to do it. But the
Right.
for kids event, it was for our local children's hospital. The second year we done it, we raised right at $15. It don't sound like much, but that's a bunch for them.
That is a bunch. That is a bunch. And yeah, I know you've supported me over the years off and on because and Steve is also, we're a big supporter of the Safety Drive for a Cure. I've got to get you up there sometime, man. You'd love that event. But
Well, part is look how close it is to our state competition. So
yeah, that's
Right.
true. That's true. But I appreciate you doing that, and you actually won one of my big Tex trailers one year, so that was pretty awesome there. Uh, but tell us a little bit about you. You said there's other charities that you're involved in right now.
well, I don't know if I can mention, but Convoy Hope.
Yeah,
You know,
you can mention Convoy Hope. Yeah, you're good.
yeah,
Right.
Convoy. Oh, oh my gosh, that place is awesome. They do a lot for not only our nation but other nations. You know, but disaster relief here in our states. You know,
Yeah.
I went to Fort Myers. The first time they got, well, not the first time they got hit, but recently when they got hit, I got sent down there. That place was devastated.
Was that with Helene earlier this year?
Well, it's been a couple years since it hit,
Yeah.
but but Helene, look at Asheville.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Helene come right up through Valdosta, and it hit us pretty hard here, here in Valdosta too, and just devastated, on up through North Carolina and all that.
Well, the crazy thing about Asheville, okay, I got a phone call because I was supposed to go somewhere else, but I was told I needed to go to Asheville. Pick up the truck that day that I flew in and
Hmm.
go. So go. I finally get down there and, not sure where I'm supposed to be. Well, I'm supposed to be at a church. Well, I finally found the church and I pull in the parking lot and two pastors come up to me and like, "Oh God, we're great to have you here." And I said, well, I'm here to help any way I can. Well, you can't do nothing tonight. Some phone calls, and I get told that I'm the first one to show up with convoy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to back off the mic just for a few minutes. I'm going to let Steve talk to you a little bit more about that, because he has, and I haven't had an opportunity to help in disaster relief like you guys have. So I'm going to let y'all talk about that a little bit. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah. I went down to, I think it was Hurricane Laura when it come through Lake Charles. And I took a load of water down there. And the devastation I seen just going in, it's something like I never seen. I mean, I've never personally been in a tornado, but I've been to tornado stricken areas. But this has got multiple tornadoes, super high winds, all the water and everything. And I pulled into this church like you did, and this church is just devastated. But the pastor was showing me, and I believe he was a youth pastor. They was over in an auditorium, and there was like 30, 35 people hunkered down in this, and that building sustained no damage at all. But now, right across the street, just a little piece, maybe a half a mile, there's a small airport, and it had one of them wind deals on it. It broke off at 135 mile an hour, and but anyhow, they started unloading the water, and I asked the pastor, I said, what can I do to give a hand? He said, as they pull in, put 2 cases of water in each car. I said, okay. And then once word got out that I was the one that carried the water down there, folks wanted to come up and show me, they lost their house. This one lost his shed, and just, looking at that, and you're trying to keep it together, and all you can say is, I'm so sorry, and thank you for sharing that with me. And they just wanted somebody to talk to. And, and that was the big thing. Just be there and be a shoulder for them to lean on just momentarily. And, and it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure with Convoy, I hope you probably had multiple supplies on that truck. So what did they do with you when you got up the next day? What did they, where did they locate you?
Oh, in Nashville, I had to turn the truck around where it was kind of at a downhill, get up in there with a pallet jack. I was all in, help, they brought equipment in to help unload it,
Right.
set up there to help, appease these people and help them every way they could. And the bad part about Asheville was that I pulled in, I even asked the pastors, I was like, what's all these cars doing here? And he said, this is people, that has lost everything. They have nowhere else to go. And I was like, oh. But it was the same way with Fort Myers. They bring you to a camp and you're unloading and you're helping, and it's an awesome deal.
Yeah, it is. And that is a great thing about this trucking industry. When devastation strikes, the people come together and buy stuff, donate stuff, but then the trucking industry comes together and says, load it on us, we're going.
Yes.
And that is just amazing of how this industry will come together. And you'll you'll come around the corner and there was nobody there but yourself. Nobody had made it there yet. But then if you went back and got a second load and you come around that same corner, you might be 2 miles back because there's 30 trucks lined up. And it's like, wow. That is the amazing thing about this industry. We all come together and you put your differences aside and let's help each other. That is the cool part.
It's funny you say that because, after back out of Asheville, almost till I got to Atlanta, I started seeing them.
Right.
after another, headed up there. And I was like, the heart got warm, hey, you're doing a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott, we're talking about, people's hearts getting warm and, compassion and stuff like that, and helping out in disaster areas, and charitable loads and stuff like that. And I think that's a good transition time to, I see Herschel's in here. And so I'm going to bring Herschel on the line here, and we're going to go ahead and move into the next section of our podcast here today. And we have dedicated this podcast to our good friend, the late Mr. Matt Awbrew. So I'm going to bring Herschel on in here. We're going to talk a little bit about that to the end of the show. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Herschel Evans, how you doing there, brother?
Look at the head on that joke.
Oh man.
How you doing, buddy?
Good, brother. Good. How y'all doing?
Hanging in there, man.
I hear you. Well, Herschel, we've been talking to Scott about his career in trucking, how he got into it and all that. And of course, some of his runs toward, TDC and all that. But we have definitely dedicated the show to Matt tonight. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about Matt, your friendship with Matt. And if you could just tell us a little bit about Matt, what you know.
Matt was a heck of a competitor and a super nice guy. He's one of them people that, he'd compete against you and make you work your butt off to win. And then he'd also help you practice. He and I, this year before the TDC, we had already practiced together a couple of times. He would bring his sleeper for me to practice in, and I would bring him my day cab to hook hook to his tanker so he could practice for the tank class. Mm-hmm. So we were helping each other. But me and Matt, we butted heads several times in the sleeper class. He beat me 2 years in a row when I first started trying to do the sleeper. And but I mean, just one of those people is just as absolutely as nice as he can be. Would do anything in the world for you. And then he may end up beating you, or if he doesn't beat you, he'll be super proud of you and super happy for you if you end up winning. So he's just that kind of person, and absolutely dearly gonna be missed. A great human being and a hell of a truck driver.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And I've competed against Matt in the tanker class, and I've been on stage several times in the tanker class. But Matt's he's always been a tough competitor, and he was definitely passionate about the truck driving championships. And it's kind of funny. I was talking to Jessica there at the Georgia TDC, and she was telling us that was their vacations. That's what they did for vacation time, was go to the TDCs. And,
oh yeah, she knew he wasn't gonna miss it. She knew that was something that meant a lot to him, and she's right there with him. So
yeah,
she enjoyed it. She enjoyed doing it. I've been talking to her a little bit too, and she's gonna try to make it to nationals. She wants to come support the Georgia drivers and kind of be there and watch us compete. So. If she can swing it, if she can figure it out how to work in her schedule, she wants to be in Minneapolis with us.
Oh, that's awesome. And that would be that's what he would want for sure, because I think she told me this. She's talking about, well, honey, because he was going to drive on the second day, right? And he did his pre-trip. I seen him down there doing his pre-trip and everything.
Yep.
And she was saying there's a lot of red flags, and I'm just going to say it like this. He said, I'm going to get that AWS. I'm going to go get that AWS. he was fired up.
He was hard after it. Yeah, he was. We had. I think we ended up having 7 drivers do a perfect written test.
Yeah,
and he was one of those 7. So he was studying. He was hard after it, and he told me he felt good about his pre-trip, and thought he did real good on it. And you never count a driver like Matt. You never can count him out on the course. I mean, he's a heck of a competitor. So that's one of them courses that was one of those you had to think 2 and 3 problems ahead to have everything where you wanted it. And That'd have been one of those courses I believe Matt would have shined on. So, yeah, I have no doubt he'd have been right there in the hunt.
And tenfold. Herschel, talk to us a little bit about. I know you and he and I we're Georgia road team captains and all that. And I remember years ago, working an event down at the Galleria with him. And can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, where was it at?
It was at the Galleria.
Oh yeah, we did that one several times. That was I can't remember what Emily actually named it, but it was they had a Taste of Georgia there, where they had a bunch of different restaurants, different trucking companies that had kind of like cooking teams would come eat, and me and Matt weren't no small fellas, and we do like to eat. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of good times.
A lot of good times with Matt. I remember working that with him, and it was the Georgia Truck Expo, the one that I was.
That was it. Yeah, the Expo. That was right.
Yep, and it was
I remember the food.
Something about us truck drivers and big boys, it goes together.
Right.
Food.
Right.
Heck, I don't know what it is about us in the South that love food.
Exactly.
That's that good upbringing.
We know how to cook in the South. That's why we love food.
That's right.
If you had to eat that Yankee food all the time, you wouldn't want to eat all the time either.
Heck no.
Hey, if it ain't got flour and it's not fried and it doesn't have pepper and salt and other spices on it, it ain't no good.
Butter and heavy cream, yeah. I mean, you go.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
That's the three food groups. Butter, grits, and heavy cream.
I like it. Oh, shit.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure tonight. Herschel, I thank you for coming on, and
yes.
I've got a video I want to play, and we'll close the show out with that video.
Well, before you play it, I just want to congratulate Mr. Herschel and
thank you, sir.
Steve again.
Thank you, sir.
Proud of you both.
Thank you, Scott. Hey, Herschel. I didn't tell everybody, and most everybody on the broadcast probably knows it, but we are sitting here with the Georgia Grand Champion.
That's right.
Thank you very much. That was quite a shock. I did, honest. I mean, I won a few. I honestly say every time I win, I don't think I won, but I mean, I really didn't think I'd won this year, and it was really, it was something to to be able to pull that off, in Matt's memory.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. It was definitely a different TDC this year, and but Georgia TDC, GMTA, they did a great justice and a great honor for Matt there, and I've got a little bit of that captured on the video that I'm going to show here. So if you guys will just hold on, we'll kind of come back right after this is over, and then we'll close the show completely out. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All righty. I can get down here to my stuff. All right, here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now winning the course in this year's bid for the 2025 Georgia Truck Driving Championship, we have Matt Awbrew driving in the tanker class for our size. Matt and his wife Jessica reside in Franklin, Georgia. Matt drives out of the Conley, Georgia terminal. Has quite an impressive career. He's been in the industry for 41 years with a 41-year no accident record. Has racked up well over 4 million plus lifetime safe driving miles. has had quite a few different unusual experiences out on the road. He once blocked a right lane with a truck and trailer due to an overturned car to help passing pedestrians. He's received multiple awards throughout the year. He was actually the 2014 National TDC Champion. He was the two-time Walmart Driver of the Year. He has competed in 15 different state Georgia TDCs as well as 5 different national TDCs, and has finished first in the 4-axle class in 2016 and in 2017. Finished first in the sleeper class in 2014 and 2015, and finished first in the 5-axle class back in 2007. When Matt is not driving, he enjoys farming and spending time with his grandson Ryder. So folks, once again, as he makes it around the last turn, will you please give it up for Matt Awbrew in the tanker class this year, driving for Exotic.
Matt was a husband, a father, a friend, a trucker, and a champion. One more time, let's give it up for Matt.
All right, guys. Well, somebody's got their dog barking.
That is that's my wife's latest rescue.
God
boy.
bless.
He's still in quarantine from our other critters, so we got him over here in the laundry. I think the bagpipes got him fired up. So.
Oh, goodness gracious.
There you
That's
go,
awesome.
folks. Nothing's rehearsed on this show. Nothing. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, man. Well, that was a great tribute to Matt that they did there. But also, hey, look, you know, the dog's even howling there, you know. So hey, he's giving a shout out to Matt there, and Matt would definitely surely be missed in this trucking industry. You know, he made a great impact on this trucking industry for sure. And I know he made a great impact on me as well as a lot of other drivers. But hey, Scott, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. If you will hang on to after we go completely off the air here, I'd appreciate it. And Herschel, thank you for coming on at the last minute,
Yes.
and kind of giving us some insight on Matt there. But anyway, Steve, how about a word of safety and advice and to close the show out?
Yeah, make sure you give Wolfie a dog biscuit there.
He gets plenty of dog biscuits.
I love it. No, like I said in the beginning of the show, folks, we're getting ready to come up on a 3-day holiday weekend, and people's going to be getting anxious to get to the beach, get to the lake, and everything. So everybody, be safe, be careful, slow down, and man, get there. Like I always say, the most important trip is the trip home. So thank y'all, appreciate it.
All right, Herschel, you got a word of advice for anybody out there?
Be careful. Watch out for those that are not watching out for you. There's a lot of people on the road, like Steve said, you know, holiday weekend coming up. There'll be a lot of people that have a lot of things on their mind except driving. So you watch out extra close and make sure you make up for what they're missing out on, because you know they're not going to have their mind on what they're doing.
Absolutely. How about it there, Mr. Scott?
The only thing I could add to it is, hey, be safe 1 mile at a time.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Well, everybody, it's been a great show tonight. I thank everybody for tuning in, whether you've been over there on Facebook or YouTube. You know, it'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we're on iHeartRadio now also, so y'all can catch the broadcast there. I will re-air the show tomorrow at 9 a.m. right back here on Facebook and YouTube. And but we appreciate y'all tuning in to Truckers Voices, and y'all stay safe. Have a great weekend, and remember, we're delivering safety through success. Y'all have a great weekend.
Two truckers riding where the big rigs roll. Tool man's got a story, 10 speed's got a laugh. They're spinning tales on the radio path with a CB buzz and a coffee cup. They're rolling hard, never giving up. From coast to coast, their words take flight to kings on the highway, rolling through the night. It's 10 speed and two-man tales from the road. Stories of the weigh-ins and heavy loads. From the desert sands to the Great Smoky Pines, they're sharing their lives 1 mile at a time. Remember that time in Amarillo town? We broke down the truck, but still made it round. Tool man grinned and the diner burned out, but we got a pie before they shut it down. 10 speed chuckle, how about that storm? Lightning so close, it kept the rig warm. They swapped their stories like an old school jam, just two truckers living off the land. It's 10 speed and two-man tales from the road. Stories of the weigh-ins and heavy loads. From the